Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the GuildMag podcast. We were away last week, so apologies for that. But we're back this week, ready to go. We're going to be talking about the feature pack, and joining me to do so, as always, we have Casey. She's forgotten to unmute her microphone once again. Well, it's still unmuted. Casey! You've still muted it.
You're kidding.
There we go.
Is it? I had it unmuted the first time. I clicked the button twice. I think the microphone is screwing with me now. Hello, everyone.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about all the feature pack stuff this week. We're also going to be announcing the winner of the screenshot contest that we held last episode, so do stay tuned for that. As always, remember, for those of you not watching us live, you can catch us every Thursday at 10 AM GMT on twitch.tv/GuildMag, where you can share your thoughts and views with us in the chat as we go along, like we're hoping you lovely people will be doing today with us. But before we get into the show, Casey's going to do a quick rundown of this week's news.
Okay, so the news this week is pretty simple. It's the feature pack! Yay! So with the feature pack came the new trade post UI, account-wide minis, finisher preview, collections, crafting backpacks, the new player system experience, and lots of other little things we'll talk about the show, including some unobtainable new skins, and a little bit of information about season 2.
I thought you were going to say something else then, like we were talking about before the show. You don't need to know that.
Languages. I don't even know what language that is. I don't know. Whoa, something went misfiring in my brain there. But yeah, so that is the news for this week, and we're going to be talking all about it. So I guess we should start going on the feature pack.
Let's go then.
So the biggest thing that I liked about the feature pack was the new trading post UI, which I thought was really cool because I was so sick of trying to search for stuff and then not having search parameters. So if I wanted heavy armor legs, I couldn't do that. I had to go through everything of heavy armor, I think, or everything of legs. I couldn't remember which. So the new UI is super user friendly. It can refine searches. The sell items tab is really useful now. I never used to use the sell items tab, but now I do. And yeah, you put a note here.
Yeah, you're what is that?
I'm reading it going, I don't remember writing that. And it really messed me up. So yeah, it's a really great system. I love the new training pros. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'll bring up that point then that you're like, what is that? The first thing I noticed about it is that compared to the old one, it's really quick and snappy. And there's definitely new technology is doing its job. For those of you who didn't know, weren't quite sure how it worked, they kind of explained it a bit. It's basically like having a browser within the game. It's not like a native piece of UI to the game. It's like a web browser overlaid on top of it, which is how you're accessing the trading post. And they've made sure to optimize it so it doesn't have to grab images from the web server. It can grab it from the game. And I'm going too technical now because I'm going
I think, oh really?
Oh my god! So yeah, overall I really like it. They've improved it a lot. It's nice to use now, I think. And I even found myself just buying a bunch of crap that I didn't need just to test it out, and then getting rid of it again.
I now that you say it, I should have done that, because one thing I really disliked about the previous one is that when you brought stacks of 250, every time someone sold it to you, it would come up as one item on your bought history. And so you would get, okay, one person sold you one asparagus from the same price as 77 in the next one, and then 2 on the next one, and then you end up 3 pages of your thing is just asparagus from one lot of 250 that you brought. So I haven't actually seen if that changed. I hope it has. I hope now it goes, this lot is together under the same amount, so we'll bunch it together instead of giving you 3 cell history pages of the one thing.
Not too sure.
Yeah, but our chat also says that they like that it's super fast now. And apparently it's easier to undercut people by 1 copper now with just 1 mouse.
Yay!
So I think that refers to like before. Yeah, yay for everyone. I think that refers to the fact that before you had to type in like maybe less, and now you can just click on a button and go, I'll just sell it by 1 less.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, nothing much more to say about that. It was just a nice addition. I did see a few people actually, or well, one person, not a few people, but one person bring up a couple of negatives about it, and I'm struggling to remember what they were now.
Yeah, someone somewhere did not like the trading post system. That's all I know.
Oh, it's really annoying me now.
We'll get halfway through the podcast. You'll be like, hang on, I remember about the trading posts.
It'll come back to me. Okay, so should we move on then for now? And so another thing that came with it is the account-wide miniatures with the whole preview thing. They're now part of the whole hero panel. They're no longer in your bank. I actually really like them. And it's actually made me care about minis for once now. Whereas before I was like, oh, I've got a mini. They kind of they all lived in my bank, and I never bothered to like get them out or play with them or anything. And play with them.
He wrote Valiant with his little dolls.
But yeah, now I kind of care about them. I actually almost care about collecting them all as well, which is weird for me because I'm not a collector, like at all. But it's just nice, and especially that you can preview them and kind of rotate them around and look at them, and it's nice to have like not a zoomed in view, but like a big view of them rather than you squinting on the ground like
yeah. what is that? I really love that everyone has minis now, like, so you see other people's minis and things like that. I think that's a really great thing, and the fact that it shows up on your character screen makes it feel like it's more a part of your character now. Like, I don't really like minis too much unless they feel lore friendly. Like, I love the cat mini and or any little animal mini or any minis that kind of make sense in the world, like a miniature shade, so it feels like another little companion to my character. So my main character has this cat that I've worked into her role-playing story, I guess, which is her cat called King Doric, and it's the little ginger cat that you get if you play Guild Wars 1. And I love that sort of thing, and now that it always comes out, it really feels like King Doric is part of Casey's character, in the game. So I'm really happy about that. I feel like it's a lot more immersive use of the minis.
Yeah. I completely agree. One thing you've put on here that I didn't even know about is that minis are disabled in high population areas. I was not aware of that.
Yes, so I went and did Tequaddle, and so the first time I saw it, I was doing world bosses, and I went, my mini's not out, that's really strange. So I went and clicked her, and then equipped her again, and then the thing came up going, your mini has been suppressed due to high population, which I guess is another way of controlling the pressure on the server. I think some people don't like that. They're like, don't take away my mini. You can get rid of other people's, but don't take away mine, so only they can see it. They'll prefer that. But I don't mind. I think it's reasonable.
I've been trying to desperately find this trading post thing while you've been talking.
Have you seen the chat? Someone mentioned a negative in there.
Yes, I was going to bring that up as well. So we'll go from the chat first then. The negative I heard about the trading post is that when you go to sell a stack, it defaults to 1, where before it defaulted to the whole stack. And they go on to say, I don't see this as a negative, since accidentally selling a stack when you want to sell 1 is not as bad as selling 1 when you meant to sell a stack.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's not what I had originally read. Moving on from what, but another thing I have found is that someone said that they hate that they can't simply order 250 like a stack of a crafting material, and it will buy from the lowest seller and then the next and the next. If say the lowest seller only has 100 of them, which it did in the old trading post, buy 250 of the lowest. Right now, it would literally just buy 100 of the lowest, and then you'd have to put in a new order.
Oh, I did not know that.
So
that could be.
I mean, I could see why it would be annoying. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that. Like, on one hand, I suppose it's kind of stopping you from accidentally paying more than you'd want to. Like, I guess.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's kind of bad UI design when you have to click more than once to achieve something.
I can see it frustrating, but on the other hand, I can see if they decided to do it that way. Like, it's one of those things that's like, oh, could they not just, maybe implement it a little bit better?
Another thing someone did bring up is I hate that the system automatically assumes I want to look at things for my class. I'm not too against that. I mean, it's only one click away from, you only have to untick Guardian or whatever, because obviously everyone plays Guardian because they're the best. But I suppose they've done it so that I think the main idea they're trying to get is they want you to buy weapons and armor through it. It's like, I think it's tying into this whole new player experience of this is where you can get upgraded gear, and if you go on the trading post right now, I'm going to show you the best stuff you can get for your class right now. So I think that's kind of why they've done it.
That's actually a good point, is that I know that they really dislike the fact that people just vendor all their blues and greens. And some of and so they added that silver that system with luck so that people would salvage it and be worth selling or something like that. So maybe that's another thing, is they're thinking of selling their blues and greens so that lower level characters use the trading post to buy those sort of things.
I think that's it for the trading post. I can't find the stuff that I was going to talk about. It's a really good point as well, actually. But oh well, maybe next episode if I ever find it.
Maybe remember.
So moving on then, kind of tying in with what we were just talking about with the minis, is the preview for finishers for PvP.
Yes.
And I'm actually really a fan of these as well. Before, I didn't really care about finishers that much. Like, if I got one, I'd be like, oh, cool, I'll use it now and again. Because I'm not a massive PvP and World v World player. But I actually spent a good 10 minutes going through all the finishers and previewing everything I had, and I was like, oh my god, I could have this one on now and then switch to this one. It'd be so cool. And it's just really good, and like you've actually pointed out, good for advertising gem store finishes as well, which probably a reason why they've done it. But again, it's just nice.
I think it's such a good vanity item. It's such I don't mind them advertising vanity items like that. I much prefer that advertise those vanity items in that way and set that system set up that way, because it's only beneficial really for everyone. And the fact that you can preview the finishes in game is sort of essential when you're trying to sell them, because at the moment people go to Dolphy, they're going to a third party website to be able to see what the finishes look like, which is not that great, and I really love the fact that they added the preview, and it seems like a lot of people do like the preview system as well.
It's just, I feel kind of cozy inside. It's all just tied nicely into that hero panel. I'm just, I just like things like that.
That hero panel is like an oasis. So much stuff to buy. I totally agree. I really like the new finishes, and there's just nothing bad you can say about that. There really is nothing bad you can say about it.
Definitely not. So all
right, shall we
move on then? Because that was all kind of basic, generally thumbs up
easy
stuff.
We're just powering through this, aren't we? This is good. We need to, because we've got so much we need to talk about this week. So the next thing to talk about is the item collections, which I love so much.
Do you?
Yes. Ooh. Guess how much I love them. I answered for you. So the item collection achievements is this really cool way. I'll just explain what it is. It's basically in your achievements panel, there's now achievements and kind of like this collection display UI thing for collecting certain sets of things. Some sets are like, for example, every exotic armor or every single junk item or just little things like that. And it kind of appeals to the completionist nature in people, and you get rewards for completing these collections. So there's some really interesting collections. Most of them are pretty, normal. Get every single type of this armor, or every single type of this armor, or I can't really remember off the top of my head now. But there are some really funny ones. For example, there's a jar one where you could go around Tyria collecting jars of things. For example, at the start, there was this big hype about a jar of bees, and you could throw the jar of bees at your enemy. So there's all sorts of jars, and you go and collect them, and when you collect all the jars, you get a 20 slot jar that you can equip in your inventory. So it becomes like just little flavor stuff. I love that. That's really cool, that little flavor thing. One of the bigger kind of funkier ones is the karmic converter, which converts karma into special items daily, and apparently, can't remember where I saw this, but apparently converts it to ascended materials or green items or something like that. But you can convert them into different things, which is super cool. That is such an awesome way of implementing a karmic converter. And then the other one I put was an enchanted chest, and I was going to talk about this last week, but there was, in one of the pictures, there was a chest in a home instance, and it showed a picture of someone opening it up, and it actually turns out this is an enchanted chest that replenishes daily with little items, little knickknacks that you can go every day and pick up stuff. So I think that's really cool. I think that's really unique way of implementing, giving people little incentives for completing stuff. And then there's a lot of that's just the kind of weirder stuff. There's a lot of things that reward you with ascended gear or ascended trinkets or something, or ascended accessories, sorry. So that's really cool, I reckon. And I think my favorite, I have to just mention my favorite one. There's actually two of my favorite ones. My favorite one is the junk one, which is the Scrit. I think it's called King of the Scrit or something, gives you a title, and you collect every single trash item in the game, the things you just sell that have no use. You collect every single one, and that's my favorite. I can't wait to get that title. And another one is another one that's my favorite is I can't really say this, I can't speak German, Kotophile, which is in me. German. You're closer to Germany than I am. Apparently, is K-O-U is German for spoon, and a file is the same as something that you love. And so spoon, it's basically the spoon lover collection, and you go around Tyria collecting spoons, and when you fill it up you get this really cool item, which I believe is what we discussed weeks ago, which was the items that level up with your character, because it says that it unlocks it's a mental item that helps you with your alts. So I think that's a really cool way of introducing that stuff, and it's just fun, just a little fun flavor thing with the spoons. And you actually wanted to mention something about it being about Guild Wars 2 Endgame, or was that me?
Well, it was me last week when we were doing the notes. Before the patch had come out, it was, as I was reading the blog post about the collections and all that, the only thing, what sprang to mind to me was, is this another one of their attempts at trying to provide something to do at Endgame? Because there's always been this discussion about, does Guild Wars 2 have this endgame? And me and you, we've even done this discussion before on old podcasts. And obviously much of this collection stuff is about collecting... Wow, did I really just say that?
You sound like me! Silly thing.
Wow.
It appeals to people's joy of completing things. There we go.
So yeah, a lot of Guild Wars 2's kind of endgame thing is about designing your character, getting the skins you want, and going for dungeon armor and legendaries and all that kind of thing. And it's kind of similar to the way, it's kind of like collecting skins in the way that this is collecting skins. Oh god, I'm doing it again. Wow.
I know a lot of people who, when the wardrobe system came out, they were like, I must get every single item, and they enjoy it. They really enjoy this. I must collect everything, and I guess they are appealing to, for example, the fashionistas in Guild Wars 2, which its endgame is looking pimped out as possible, and for some people endgame is running a dungeon in less than 10 minutes, and for some, and obviously there's another endgame is completing things and getting the rewards to show, hey, look, I completed everything, you know. So I definitely think that appeals to people, definitely.
Yeah. So just to pull out a couple of things from chat then. Convert karma into bloodstone dust. Ooh, no. Is it? Do you get to choose like what you convert it into?
I think it was ephemeral shards.
Okay.
I'll quickly Google it, or while you're talking
Okay.
about someone else.
I'll talk about something else, even though.
Yeah, go find someone else's. Someone, quick. Find someone else's comment.
God.
Okay. I've got this. Purchasable items from the karmic converter: a tiny karmic crafting bag, a small karmic crafting bag. Okay, it just goes through the karmic crafting bags to from tiny to heavy. Obsidian shards, dragonite ore, ephemeral fragments, bloodstone dust, a trophy bag, a rune bag, or a sigil bag. And then they say other possible items are a bag of scrap, educational supplies, world versus world supplies, masterwork gear, rare gear, and jewels, but it doesn't really have much more information.
Okay.
And you can only buy one item per day.
Okay. I'll have to clear that up then.
Yay!
Do we have anything else to say about collections? Like, me personally, I'm not a big collector, and I don't know if I'll ever really go for any of this stuff. Maybe... it would kind of have to be like, if I get like 3/4 of the way there and I've got nothing else to do on that day, I might just go on then, you know, like
yeah.
But it's nice that they're including things for different types of people. So like things like me, I'm happy when they do things like new dungeon paths and new fractals, and I'm the kind of person, like you said, who considers endgame to be run a dungeon under 10 minutes. Like that's the way I play. And then there's other people who, for this is like a godsend. So
yeah. Just to quickly say, Priest Tully said in the chat, the pop-up makes you choose between 3 of those that I listed every day, and it's a random between which 3 happens.
Ah.
Yeah, so it just opens up a merchant menu, and you don't need to take it out if you don't like what's in for that day. That's pretty cool. I really like that a lot. And I like the way they implemented it in that sort of way. I'm with you. If I ever got so bored of Guild Wars that I went, okay, I'm going to complete a collection, there's a 50-50 chance I'm going to go and play a different game. Like, you know, it's not like I'm short of really interesting games. You know, and I don't really find that, like, for example, when I got all my minis out, I got the ones that I really liked. And then all the other rare ones, which I had just been storing, I went, I don't really want to commit these because they could be worth something in a little while, you know? So I'm just going to keep them because... And then half of me is like, but what if I want to complete the collection later, you know? So...
I actually had that struggle. Well, it was made easier. I think it's the Toxic Hybrid is the exotic mini that you can put on the trading post. And when it first Tower of Nightmares came out, I got it on the first day, on the first chest open. And I was like, oh my gosh, just sell it, because it was worth like I was like one of the first, and it was like going for like 100 gold or something. Yeah. So I was like, no, I'll wait, it's okay. And then like a few hours later, it's down to like 50 gold, and I'm like, oh. And then so I just like put it in my bank, hoping one day it'd go back up. And then yesterday I logged in, and I was like, oh, Toxic Hybrid, what should I do with this? Should I unlock it or should I sell it? And I go to look, and it's worth 1 gold. So I think.
Is it?
It's worth 1 gold now.
I'm gonna buy it.
So,
I'm so buying it now. Let me just get post-it notes. I remember.
So I've just unlocked it now. I thought, forget that. So there's a tip: if you get a mini on the first day it's come out, sell it, and then buy it like a year later for a gold.
Yeah, that happened with Tequaddle. Someone in my guild got Tequaddle, the Tequaddle mini, and that was like 500 gold, and now it's like 50 or something like that. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all to say about the collections. They're very cool. Definitely go check them out. And also, with the Spoon Lover collection, I was so dumb. I had to get one of my guildies to help me. Like, dumb is a theme for me this week because I was just not getting it. Happened with the mini. I was like, my minis are not in the collection. I've lost all my minis. It's a glitch. No. And then like they're like, it's in your bank. I'm like, no, it's not. I checked. No. And they're like, no, it's in the old place they used to be under the materials. I'm like, oh yeah, they are. Thank you. And that was the same with the Spoon Lover. I was like, where's the Spoon Lover collection? I can't find it. Glitch, no. And then someone's like, you need to go to Lion's Court, and there's a guy there that you talk to, and he shows you the Spoon collection. So yeah, I'll just there's a little information for you. Yeah, so what's the next thing we're going to talk about?
Crafting backpacks and skins and
yeah,
chisel.
crafting backpacks.
Yay.
I really, really love crafting. Have you seen the crafting backpacks?
I haven't seen them in game. I've seen
Dolphy.
Yeah, but not in game yet.
There's a simple charm to them when they move because they have been lovingly crafted, man. Like, for example, in one of them, hammer is hanging. The hammer is hanging on the side of the backpack, and when the character moves, the hammer
swings.
The hammer swings. And on the cooking one, there's pots and pans attached to the thing, and when you move, the pots and pans move. So it's lovely. It's a pleasure to watch, seriously. And I think they add like a lot of little variety and flavor to the world. Like the cooking backpack, the first one is basically a chopping board with some onions and carrots attached to your back. It is so cool, man. And just little things like that I really, really like. I just think they add a little bit of flavor, and for role players, they kind of add a little bit of realistic back pieces. Like, it's just so cool. It looks so cool. And yeah, and when you see them, like, they just look normal, but when you see the hammer move or the pots and pans swing, it's really lovely to look at. Seriously, it's lovely to look at.
I'm definitely gonna have to go and check them out. Screenshots definitely don't do anything justice, I don't feel. So yeah.
Got some people in chat, some saying millions of backpacks, no capes. Oh my gosh, you're right. I remember in Guild Wars 1, capes are everywhere, and now there's still no capes. I think it's the physics. The physics really trip them up with the capes. And giant
giant robot arm.
I'm so embarrassed, man. I'm so embarrassed.
Giant robot arm said, I want the pots and pans one, and the one with the big bear head is funny. Is that the huntsman one? The one with the big bear head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the final form of the huntsman one.
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm so hot as well. It's going to disappear under my just like slowly sink. Alright, moving on.
Do you want to talk about pinnacle weapon skins yet? I haven't even looked at these yet, so you might have to carry me through this one.
Alright, so
I'll have a look now while you're talking.
Yeah, it's in Dolphy. There's these pinnacle weapon skins, and they're these new weapon skins.
No, carry on.
Carry on. Actually, while I'm talking about the weapon skins, I'll also talk about the Hellfire and Radiant Arms. But the pinnacle weapon skins are these new skins, and they don't know how you acquire them, and they're not available anywhere, but the skins are in the game. And they're like these purpley, crystally, sort of rainbowy accented weapons. See if I can link them in the Twitch. And they're really cool. But I'm curious as to if they're part of the storyline or not, because I've talked about this in previous episodes. With the living story, there's this massive emphasis or this repetition of purple and crystals, and we know, and glint. I'm sorry, and Krakatoric, like with the glint is obviously part of the story with the Zephyrite. We don't know how. The vines have these purple light glowing out of them, which is very odd for Mordramoth to have purple light when Krakatoric is the purple dragon. And also in the final cutscene we saw, it was from the pale tree, we saw the golden light and the golden orb descend down, and the whole place is surrounded by purple corrupted crystals that shatter when Mordramoth comes in with his little vines. So this purple crystal is a repetitive theme throughout this living story. And now we're getting these weapons in, very Kalkatoric themed weapons. I mean, they've got the dark stone that the Shatterer has, along with the bright purple crystals. So I'm really interested if this is going to be released in part of the story. If they're just going to go, yeah, here's the skins, they're not really part of the story, but here's some pretty skins for you to have, or if they're going to interweave them part of the story, which it would be awesome.
Yeah,
so awesome.
It would be. Things that have been pointed out in chat, and I've just been reading the comments on Dolphy actually,
great.
They look a lot like the Zenith weapons reskinned purple, and people are wondering if it's going to be like the next tier of Zenith weapons for achievement points. But that's still not to say they couldn't tie it into the story.
Well, we know that the Zenith weapons are part of the Zephyrite, and the Zephyrite's are part of Glint. So it actually does make for a good point that they could be the next tier. That is very smart thinking.
But yeah, I think they definitely. I don't think they can just reskin Zenith. I don't remember things like the shield, the Zenith shield, looking like the Pinnacle one does, with rocky stuff in the middle of it. I don't know. They definitely look Zenith-esque, but maybe not. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see with that. It would kind of make sense.
They're a bit pimped up.
Yeah, it would kind of make sense if they went with achievements because of all the Hellfire and Radiant stuff that they're bringing out, as well. So I guess wait and see.
Yeah, we'll just quickly mention that they're bringing out the Hellfire and Radiant chest and legs have come out, but they're not available yet for you to get. They don't know how much AP you require to get them, but you can actually see the full sets on Dolphy. I'll link him again. For light, heavy, and medium. So they're obviously thinking of completing the whole set, which is very cool.
Do we not know? Have people guessed at the achievement points, or is it just not known? Because I've seen a couple of values. It's 30k for the chest, I think.
I have no idea.
It was on Reddit, and I've lost the link. I had them all set out.
I'm so laughing. It's like a dream you had after reading the things, all this information.
But I think I'm trying to remember it now because I was actually looking at it this morning just after I woke up on my phone. It's I think I'm pretty sure the chest is 30k achievement points, but it's weird because it goes. You unlock both the legs before you unlock the chest, so you get Radiant legs and Hellfire legs, then Radiant chest and Hellfire chest, which I think is a little bit weird. I'd rather just if I had that many achievement points, I'd rather just get the legs and the chest to complete the set rather than having one of each. But
yeah, I don't know. Did they have the whole set made when they did the legs and their arms? That's the question, isn't it?
I don't know. Well, the way they were saying on the Reddit, the way it doesn't seem that way because the way you unlock them is not you unlock one of each. It's you unlock them in the order they've been released. So at some points you're unlocking 2 shoulders in a row and 2 feet in a row or something like that. So it suggests that they literally only done gloves and helmet. Gloves, helmet, shoulders.
Yeah.
But the actual set, when it's all put together, the Hellfire one looks quite nice. I've never been a fan of the Radiant one. personally.
I was just thinking that I was so disappointed because I chose one of the Radiant. Like when we first got it, I'm like, ooh, shiny stuff.
Yes.
And I got the Radiant, I think legs or something like that. And I'm looking at the Hellfire one now and I'm like, that's so badass, man.
I know.
So badass. You look like a disco ball in the Radiant one. The
Yeah.
Hellfire one inspires fear. Fear me.
So yeah, I guess we're just going to see what happens with those ones. Shall we move on then to the big thing that we're going to talk about?
Yes, the big elephant in the room with purple polka dots. Everyone's trying not to mention.
So it is the new player experience stuff that they've put in with the feature pack, which has got everyone in a bit of a tiz on Reddit.
A little bit of a tiz.
So I guess we just jump straight into it then. The big thing is that when you create a new character now, almost everything you do is level gated. So at level 1, doing your first instance when you first come in, you literally only have your auto attack and a heal skill. There is no what's the word? No rally. There we go. There's no rally mechanic until level 5. I was thinking, I couldn't just think of the word. It was like, anyway. There's no rally mechanic until level 5. You don't get things like your ultimate skill until level 40 now, which is 10 levels. You don't unlock vistas until level 7.
I think vistas are the ones that are unlocked.
You
skill.
You can do vistas, but they don't actually appear on your map until
Oh.
something. And skill points you just outright cannot do. So, and the whole idea behind this is basically ArenaNet felt like the learning curve for new players was too high for Guild Wars 2, and I personally never had that problem. I know some of my friends who played it who hadn't kept up with Guild Wars 2 news before it was released, kind of were constantly asking me questions about things like the dodge mechanic had to be explained a little bit to them, and things like combo fields and how your weapon skills work. Like, to begin with, they didn't realize that like your first 5 skills are based on your weapon. So things like that. But at the same time, these changes are also applied to veteran players. So like yesterday night, I logged in and I thought, first thing I'll do is I'll go and make a new character to see what a new player experience is like. And there was no option for me as a veteran to be able to skip any of this content. I have to play it as if I literally just bought the game there and then. And this has got a lot of people kind of annoyed. You know, the things like, especially altaholics, like, oh, I'm never going to level an alt character again because I don't want to have to go through this grind of, you know, not being able to do these things. And it's, people are just generally kind of annoyed about it. I'll go into my opinions in a minute because I'm kind of complete opposite to what everyone else thinks. But do you want to take us through then kind of what everyone else thinks?
All right. All right. What I'll do is I'll just say what generally, and then I'll read a few of the things, and then we'll hear your opinion, and then my opinion, and we'll go from there. How's that sound? So people are really upset because basically it is believed that these changes were made. They were never asked for by the veteran community or anyone who goes on forums and asks for things. No one ever asked for the dumbing down of mechanics. But people believe these all came from Hong Kong. Is it Hong Kong? Hong Kong.
Kong Zong Dong
Kong
Gong.
Zong.
Kong Zong Zong.
Is this where I don't say that I actually learnt Chinese and that this is really embarrassing that I can't even remember the Chinese words? Basically, let me see if I can get it up here.
It's spelled KONGZHONG.
Yeah, Kongzhong.
There we go.
And basically they believe that when it was published in China by Kongzhong, that these this information, they got so much, because there's so many people in China. Like, it's really hard to grasp your head around how many people are over there. And so they got all this information of all new players, people who were not used to, not, you know, fed the hype in like we did get in the Western spheroid, I guess.
Hemisphere?
Yeah, they didn't get all that. So these were people who were not used to these games,
north.
used to very traditional MMO games, and so they got all this information from new players, and they just, and I think there's like a lot of quotes on the forums. I think one of the quotes was basically, we got so much overwhelming information that the tutorial instance was really hard, and it took them a long time to grasp these new mechanics. So we had to act on this information, and a lot of people believe that the publishers in China were like, look, this is obviously a problem with your game, you need to fix it, and so they added it into the NA version, or the Western version, sorry, I should say. So a lot of people were upset. Some people's opinions are, oh, they care more about Hong Kong than they do about the Western players who built up the game. There's a lot of opinions that are, you know, you just think we're dumb, like you're treating us like, you know. So there's a lot of opinions going around. I think the biggest opinion that I see from the community is, this sucks really badly for veteran players. Get rid of it for veteran players and we'll be happy. You know, we understand that for new players they might want this, but as veteran players, they don't want that. That's the biggest one I see. So I'll just quickly mention some. Oh God, the chat went crazy, man. I have to scroll all the way back. So Black Lion Chess says, the issue I have with it is leveling alts is basically the end game of Guild Wars 2. I have no issue with that, but screwing up the level experience 40 levels is really painful. I'm hoping there'll be a way to turn it off coming very soon. Something I'll quickly say, there is quotes from Regina and Colin saying that something about, you know, there's glitches, it's not working the way it's meant to, and it's basically insinuating that it was only meant to be for first time players, that the new starting area. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, that is the case, that something went wrong and it was only meant to be for first time players, and after that veteran players get off scot-free.
I think the words Colin used, he used words like account unlocks as opposed to character unlocks, and that definitely makes it sound like once you unlock being able to do vistas and skill points once, you never have to do it again.
I think that would be the best thing, because I understand if people find it really hard, and if you don't find it really hard, you only have to suffer through it once. And then we've got another one. I'm just trying to get all these right. Sitkaz says, people are exaggerating the changes. Nelzak says, I understand that, but this is an MMO, so for new players, they might expect to learn the game in an open world. Oh, he's talking about the better tutorial instances, longer tutorial. We were talking about before the show, other Korean MMOs that I play had tutorial islands where you stay 10 levels on the island before you went anywhere. Sorry, did you want to read a few of them?
No, I was just going to say, building on that, I've never been a fan of tutorial islands. I feel like it separates people. Like, I like how Guild Wars 2, I could be on my level 1 and I just see a level 80 fly past the legendary doing like the same event that I'm doing. And it's like, oh my god, I want to be
like them.
That's exactly. So just on that, I was going to read one out, but I've lost it. So
alright, then I've got Nihasa. It says, a couple of friends that started Guild Wars 2, and I was with them on Skype for the first 10 levels. It was so much information that it feels overwhelming. I had to explain everything to them, and I realized that when you're faced with so much information, it's too fast. It's trivial now when you have a couple of level 80s, but on your first MMO, playing for the first time Guild Wars 2, it's overwhelming, and someone in Sitkaz agrees. I have to agree. My husband had the exact same experience. When I was playing first time with my husband, or after he took a break, he would go, what's this mean? How do you do that? I'm like, stop it. Stop asking me questions. You know, I was really like, you're asking me so many questions. But I agree. There was a lot for him to... For me, it just became second nature. Oh gosh, there's so much chat,
I
isn't
know.
there? All right, Black Lion Chess. Sorry, go on.
I was going to bring some. Oh yeah, so one thing I do want to bring up though
Mhm.
is looking at the other side of it. I'm turning to you now, and why it's bad. But I'll go back to my opinion in a minute.
Yeah.
It's I've seen some people saying that even for a new player who's new to games, new to an MMO, it's still dumbed down too much with a question mark. I mean, things like only being able to auto attack for your first instance. I mean, surely anyone who can work a keyboard can work two skills at least, like, you know, their first and second weapon skills, to give at least a little bit of variety.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I get completely why they've done it, and I completely get that a lot of people, when they first started playing, had problems understanding everything, and even when they got to 80, there were people who didn't. I mean, me and you were talking before, like, even you didn't fully understand combo fields and stuff like that. And so it's things like that that will help to improve them. But then one comment I did want to bring out actually is that I've completely lost it. Oh no!
Keep going.
Here we go. Okay. Is that you can play perfectly well without an expert understanding the mechanics though, and this is where people have come in. Like, even though new players didn't have this tutorial, they got to level 80. They could still do the content. You know, just because you don't fully understand the combo field doesn't mean you can't go and clear Ascalon Catacombs or even, you know, Arar. It's all you really need is know what your skills do and know how to dodge now and again. Personally, unless go on.
Sorry.
As you get into, you know, like the higher level speed running, high fractals, stuff like that, that's when you really need a deep understanding. But that comes with experience anyway. So anyway, what were you gonna say?
It took me a minute. I was just thinking that with the launch in China, I wonder if they paid close attention to how many people bought the game and how many people actually ended up playing it after some time, because I have heard a lot of stories people who play it for a few minutes and then, or 10 minutes, and go, you know, nope, too hard. But this nope, too hard is like, I have other games I can play. I'm not particularly interested. I'm just going to go and, you know, it's just too hard. I don't want to invest my time into learning it. And that's why they've dumbed it so much down. So people who don't normally want to invest their time in learning it will still keep going because it's so bloody easy. But someone in my guild made the point that people who are likely to go nope, too hard and just, you know, need easy content to be in the game, are they really the sort to invest money in the gem store? And that's the point. There's a lot of people talking about how easy everything is now. And all the changes. There's a lot of opinions about this. And how about you tell us your opinion?
Yeah, so my opinion is, I was talking to Ali about this earlier. I logged in last night to play it and I leveled up a new character. I was playing Chart Engineer. I've never played Engineer before, surprisingly. This is like the only class I've never played in my life, so I thought I'd give it a go. And this was before I'd even kind of read everything that's been happening on Reddit and the forums. I kind of just stayed away from it because personally I know that I can tend to be quite easily influenced by what I read by other people. And I'll talk about that again in a minute, actually. So I leveled up. I got to level 10 in a couple of hours. I wasn't taking it too seriously. I wasn't trying to speed my way through like I would normally on alt. Because to put a bit of background, I'm the kind of person that hates leveling. Like, after I got my first 80, I couldn't face getting a second one till like a year later. So, but yeah, for someone who detests leveling, I didn't detest it this time around. All I did was use the new content guide to kind of see where that took me. I literally kind of switched off, didn't take any of my own initiative to go and... Whereas normally I'd seek out events because everyone knows they're the quickest way to level up, as opposed to hearts. Though not anymore necessarily, but we could talk about that as well. So we should talk about... I'm putting so many notes everywhere. I used that content guide. For me, it didn't bug out. It didn't take me to like Frostgorge Sound like I know it has other people.
Oh yeah, magical mic
yeah.
video.
Yeah.
I took it to Roscoe Sound.
It worked for me. Pointed out all the hearts. I did them. Leveled up pretty quick. Pointed out some events. Pointed out the new dodge tutorial, which I really like. I think we're both agreed on that. That's a nice thing to teach people how to dodge through things. And I just at no point did I particularly think I want to stop leveling and go back on my main, because it was that bad for me. It was a bit stale not having all my abilities and not being able to do skill points, but I kind of understood why they did it. And as I actually want to bring out a quote from Map Chat that I saw while I was doing it. One person said, now every level up is a reward in itself, which I kind of agree with. It kind of I genuinely did feel better every time I dinged, because of that pop-up that comes up and it's like, you've unlocked this and this, and it's like, oh my god, I'm making so much progress.
Is it like, what's that German guy experimented on dogs by ringing a bell and the dogs are salivating? Like, ding, level up, blah, blah, blah.
So it's, I mean, I see where people are coming from, but I generally don't feel it's as bad as people are making it out to be, and especially with what Colin and Regina have said, that it's not fully working as intended. Hopefully that's pointing towards the whole account unlock thing, so that we only have to go through this once, or hopefully not at all if you've already got a level 80.
Yeah.
But the one thing I did want to bring up, a negative that was in Map Chat, there's two actually. First of all, it's kind of, you're forced into progressing at the game's pace as opposed to your own now. Because I know a lot of us, if we were leveling alts, not with crafting like the cheats do, like I do.
Or Edge of the Mist. So highbrow Guild Wars. I only level my ults by heart first.
Yeah, it feels like you're kind of forced into just doing what the game wants you to do, and you can't just kind of skip ahead and ding and all that. It's like, I feel like if you can handle more, you should be allowed to. Like, even as a new player, I imagine I'd be a little bit annoyed by only having one or two abilities, because as an MMO player, you know, when I'm handling like 3 hotbars of skills on other MMOs, I'm pretty sure I can handle 10 abilities, like in Guild Wars 2. So I feel like there should be an option that if you want to unlock more, you should just be allowed to, even as a new player. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, which you could probably talk a bit more about, because I don't know that much about, is the personal story's been chunked and some bits have been rearranged and chopped around. And there's been complaints that some later ones to do with ore don't really make sense anymore in the order that you do them. I can't really talk about that because I've only ever done the whole personal story once. After that, I was like, nope, done with you. Goodbye.
Never doing that again. I was actually going to bring it up as well because there's just so much chat about it in the chat box. So there was a lot of mention that, you know, they've cut out things and they really, you know, they don't like. And the thing is that this personal story was kind of built in a kind of set order to be a story, and messing around with it, you know, it doesn't really seem like the best idea. I have to say I haven't played the whole story since the feature pack, so I have no idea. But I agree that I don't know why they messed around with it, or if it was actually necessary to mess around with it. And also the problem with cutting the personal story into chapters, and you have to be the right level to do your personal story. Personally, everything about Guild Wars 2 hype was freedom. You can do whatever you want. You can, you know, you can go and do PvP whenever you want. If you can go and do, and the really good thing about the game was that if you were skilled, you could do higher level content. And, you know, if you wanted to, your difficulty was at your pacing. And cutting the levels off, I get why they've done it, because some people are like, oh, that's the next thing to do, I'll go and do it, and it's been really hard. But you quite clearly see that the 10 in parentheses is red as blood, and you know that's what's going to happen. You're going to get blood all over you if you go and do this while you're below that level. I'm sitting on the fence. I said to you before about this whole thing. Personally, I'm sitting on the fence. If they make it a count thing where you unlock the further count and that's it, fine, whatever. I don't care anymore. You know, I think it's great that they're trying to get new players and it doesn't affect veteran players anymore. With the whole personal story, I don't know. On the fence.
It's hard because I understand completely why they've chunked them together, because even as on my very first playthrough, I thought something about this doesn't feel right, do my personal story, and then it's like, oh yeah, all that just went down, let's go back to doing this heart over here, helping this cat feed a cow. It's like, the personal story I did when I got to level 10, I did that chunk of it and it got me to level 13 just from doing that. It all made sense and it was all bunched together and I just did it and it all worked, and I didn't have any problems with it because it made sense. What my personal story was, at least, it might literally just be an Iron Legion char engineer it makes sense for. That might be the only one, I don't know, but but obviously I can't comment because I barely remember the personal story later on, and I haven't done it in years. So like, I
did it very recently with my husband again, and it was good. It's hard to explain. I really liked it. I liked being able to go at my own pace. I used it for leveling up. Because I was a warrior and nothing phases the warrior. Oh, when I did personal story with my Ellie, it was like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Like, you know, yeah, that was it. I was on the floor straight away. And I had so much trouble with it. And then when I did it with the warrior, it was like, yeah. You call this a challenge, that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's hard to tell. Anything that restricts the freedom in the game for such a trivial reason as that it inconveniences some players, I don't know. It's hard to have an opinion. I don't know. I understand why Arena did it, and I don't know if it's a bad thing, and I don't know if it's a good thing, so I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll play through it again, and I'll be able to tell everyone in a year's time if it's good or not. But we'll see. Have we got anything else we want to mention about new player experience then? Or should we move on?
I would just encourage people to take it easy. Yeah. I agree that the way it is now is not the best. I mean, personally, I told you that when it comes to black and white facts, I'm not playing another alt because of the way it is. I just can't be bothered. I played with the new trait system and all the traits being locked. I intensely disliked all the traits being locked. And the way it is, I really disliked it. And now with this new hullabaloo, I'm not going to be leveling up another alt. However, I would encourage everyone to be just a little bit more softer about it. You know, you can have an opinion. You can hate it to death if you want. That's no problem. But just remembering that they're people and they have feelings. No, but just generally, just don't be mean. Yeah. But yeah, that's my last thing about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on that I think a lot of people, we've said this before, tend to jump on the hype train, and things are often not as bad as they seem. If you haven't tried it out yet and you're just taking everyone else's opinion for it, like mine and Casey's, I do encourage you, just try it out for 10 levels like I did. You know, see what it's like for yourself and make up your own mind. That's what I did. And for me, it's not as bad as I've been reading. So yeah, that's all I have to say on it.
Oh boy, look at the time. We better power through the rest of the stuff. All right, so I'll just quickly mention key farming, just quickly. So if you I think I mentioned it in the previous podcast. Key farming was this thing that you did. You did it for 5 levels. You got to level 5 and you did the level 10 personal story to get the key. You got rewarded a key. And then you could do it in about 20 to 30 minutes per run. With this new thing, the fact that you have to be level gated, you can't do a level 10, like a level 10 personal story while you're level 5. People were saying, oh, it's the end of key farming. However, key farming is viable in the sense that you have to do cooking crafting. And you cook craft until 175, you get to level 10, you do all the story chapters and you get your key. So it's still viable if that's the way you want to do it. However, there has been someone doing number crunching, and the too long did not read summary is you're better off farming champions for the same money of time. Like, you can, if you spend an hour key farming and you spend an hour farming, you'll get more money farming than you would possibly get from key farming. So generally that's the numbers of the whole thing now. Yeah, so that's just something quickly I wanted to mention, that, you know, it's pretty topical. People love their key farm, it's gone, and now but you can still do it if you love the key farming for therapeutic reasons. Go ahead, still do it. If you like it for the money, then go and farm champions. And the other thing that we were going to talk about was the return of Living World. When you put initials like LW, I was sitting here going, oh, brain, come on, tell me what LW means. Living World Season 2, which comes back on the 4th of November, which actually surprised a lot of people that it's still so far away that it's, you know. As for the storyline and everything like that, nothing new has been added. All we know is the date. That's it. And the general predictions, my general prediction is basically that I think there's something big coming. I think there's something really big coming, like permanent content, dungeon adding to the game, semi-expansion. Don't quote me on semi-expansion because a developer will get angry at me. Don't mention expansion! Yeah, so I think there's something big coming. That's why there's such a long wait. And I think it's something awesome.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
I expect it to be as polished as the first stuff. I suppose we can go into our predictions in a later episode when we've got more time to, about what we might possibly see. The only clue we basically have is the image that they released of like a gate with like a portal on it. I actually don't know if that's in game yet at the moment or not. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't remember it being. If anyone in chat knows, then do let us know. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll talk about this another time because we've gone over already. And I guess should we just move on to the last little bit of announcing screenshot winner?
Yeah.
So for our last episode, which was 2 weeks ago, we held our anniversary spectacular, and we put out a screenshot competition to win a Miniature Llama. And we got a number of entries. They're all pretty good. Some creative people out there, and it took us a while, but we did finally pick one. And the winner of the screenshot competition is Samu, Samu. So, well done to you. So
everyone else, there is like 42 people watching right now. Why didn't you put in your entry? Seriously, it's a llama. Why didn't you put in the screen? We got what, 10 entries? Maybe I'm just the kind of girl that would do anything for a llama.
Anything for a llama.
That's a figure of speech if I've heard one.
So yeah, we're going to put the screenshot on the podcast if you're watching the visual version of this. And we like the story that came with this. So that's what really makes a screenshot for us. So we'll just kind of take an expert of it for you guys. So here's a screenshot that won the competition, and here's what Samu had to say about it. So Here's Messon. That's his char's name. He's 2,186 hours old as of writing this. He's been my main character since the head start of Guild Wars 2. About 3 months ago, I realised the second anniversary was coming up, and with that, his birthday. He was still sitting at 60% world completion after all this time, so I decided it's finally time to get my first 100% world completion, and that shiny star next to his name. I took this screenshot. Oh no, I took it as my goal to get this as a birthday present to my character. After working towards it for the last month or two, I finally finished the last map, Mount Maelstrom, on the 26th of August. It was an amazing feeling to get to celebrate Guild Wars 2 and Messon's birthday, having completed my goal exactly on time, and having a cake blaster gun to celebrate with. Screenshot I decided to post to you guys is of that moment. I wanted to capture it so I could look back on it someday. And so yeah, and he goes on to basically say the next 20 minutes after a screenshot he went around spreading the love with his cake gun and whatnot. So yeah, that's why we chose it. It was a nice little story. Thank you again to everyone else that did enter the screenshot. We did enjoy looking at them. There were some great entries.
Can I just give a special mention to the Doliak and the baby Quaggan on a rocking horse with a kite. That was one of the ones I really liked.
So yeah, well done, Samu. We will be emailing you with the address you emailed us with your code and whatnot. So I hope you enjoy it. And I guess that kind of brings us to the end of the show.
Can you believe we did everything within like a reasonable time frame?
We're just so good at this.
Pat ourselves on the back. Is that way I turn around and make kissy noises? Alright.
So yeah, so a big thank you to everyone who's joined us for this episode. Remember, if you haven't watched us live, we are live every Thursday 10 AM GMT on twitch.tv/GuildMag. I just need to remind you, if you are in the UK, we are still GMT +1, so stop logging in at 10 AM. It's 11 AM for UK people.
Just has people been logging in?
People here an hour early, and I'm like,
hour early.
We've still got an hour to go.
I should come on to the Twitch chat an hour early and just keep them company. Hey guys.
So yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us. We will be back next week talking about more topical stuff that's been happening in the community. We'll probably do some predictions about Living World Season 2. We'll talk about data mine PvP game modes that we didn't cover this time, and a whole lot more. So hopefully we'll see you guys in a week. So, see you everyone. Bye.
Bye.